Welcome to today's life-changing story. Ambitious, but lazy. The story of a farmer that will change you forever. We all have dreams, right? To be successful, rich, or happy. But sometimes we dream a little too much and do a little too little. This is the story of a farmer who had big dreams, but zero discipline, until life taught him a powerful, unforgettable lesson. Once upon a time, in a small, quiet village, there lived a young farmer named Leo. And Leo, he was full of dreams. He would always tell everyone he met, with so much confidence, "One day, I'll be the richest farmer in the entire country." But there was just one problem. Leo was lazy. He would wake up late, find any excuse to skip work, and spend most of his days just talking about success instead of actually working for it. His father, a wise old man, often told him, "Son, dreaming is good, but dreaming without action is just sleep." Leo would just laugh it off and reply, "Don't worry, father. One day, I'll make you proud." But that one day never seemed to arrive. Every single morning, as the sun began to rise, Leo's neighbors were already out in their fields. You could hear them from a distance, plowing the earth, planting seeds, and watering their crops with incredible care and dedication. Meanwhile, where was Leo? Still in bed, pulling the covers over his head and saying, "Ugh, it's too hot today. I'll start tomorrow." Of course, tomorrow was his favorite word. When he finally dragged himself out to his field, what he saw was a sad sight. The plants were weak and wilting. The soil was bone dry, and weeds had grown everywhere, choking the life out of everything. His father would sigh, looking at the neglected land, and say, "Leo, time doesn't wait for lazy people." But Leo didn't listen. He truly believed that his big dreams alone would somehow, magically, bring him success. Then, one year, disaster struck. A terrible drought hit the village. The water sources dried up, and the sun beat down relentlessly. The hard-working farmers, however, still had crops to sell. Why? Because they had prepared early. They had stored water. They had tended to their fields every single day, and their planning paid off. But Leo, he had nothing. His field was completely empty. A barren patch of dry, cracked earth. He could only watch with a heavy heart as his neighbors sold their harvests and made money, while he sat at home, filled with nothing but regret. That night, alone in his room, he finally broke down and cried. For the very first time in his life, he truly understood that his dreams meant absolutely nothing without effort. He remembered his father's words echoing in his mind. "You can tea harvest what you didn't tea plant." The next morning, he stood at the edge of his empty land, looked at the damage his laziness had caused, and whispered to himself, "This is my fault. I wasted all my time." And in that very moment of painful clarity, Leo made a decision that would change his life forever. From that day forward, Leo became a completely new person. He started waking up before the sunrise, feeling the cool morning air on his face for the first time in years. He plowed his field with a strength he didn't know he had, planted new seeds, and worked harder than ever before. At first, it was incredibly difficult. His body ached, his hands were blistered, and some of his old friends even laughed at him, saying, "Leo, yo, working hard? That's new." But this time, Leo didn't get angry or make excuses. He simply smiled and said, "You'll see the results soon." He completely stopped talking about his dreams and started living them, one handful of soil at a time. Every single day, he worked a little harder. He learned new farming techniques from his neighbors, and he took care of every single plant as if it were a precious treasure. Months passed, and slowly but surely, a miracle began to happen. His field began to bloom. Vibrant green plants covered his land, shining under the sun. It was the most beautiful thing he had ever seen, because he had built it with his own two hands. When harvest season finally came, Leo's crops were the best in the entire village. People were amazed. They couldn't believe this was the same lazy Leo they all knew. One of his neighbors came over and asked, "Leo, how did you do it? What's your secret?" He smiled, a genuine, proud smile, and said, "I stopped being lazy. I stopped waiting for the right moment. I just started working." That year, He earned more money than he had ever dreamed of. But more importantly, he earned something far greater. Self-respect. He went to his father, holding the fruits of his labor, and said, "Father, you were right. Dreams only grow when we water them with action." His father smiled, his eyes filled with pride, and said, "Now you understand the true value of time and effort." Leo's story teaches us an important, timeless truth. Ambition without action is nothing. It's just a fantasy. Dreams only come true when we decide to work for them. Every single day, no matter how we feel. Hard work might feel slow and difficult, but laziness always leads to failure and regret. So, if you have big dreams, don't just talk about them. Don't just post about them. Start doing something today, even if it's just one small, tiny step. Because as the old saying goes, you don't have to be great to start, but you have to start to be great. What's one small step you can take towards your dream today? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories that can change your life.